and welcome to Plow and Potato. I'm Sean Bonet, accompanied, as always, with the Mr. Fabulous, Joffrey Swait. We are high above Moscow here in the Spud Pub.
Welcome to the big show.
Today!
What you all are seeing, guys, is the result of me saying to Sean, conviction and energy. That's all it takes, conviction and energy.
Joffrey gave me just a good prep-up speech. We're like becoming one in mind because I was going to say that.
I think I might have hyped you up too much, though, dude.
It doesn't take much. Today, we're going to be talking about how every man is a teacher. And by man, we don't mean mankind, but we mean literal men.
And before people blow up and get overexcited, listen, we know children teach. We know women teach. We know all humans teach.
What a kind qualifier. I say we just like throw out a bomb and see what...
Well, but it's not supposed to be a qualifier. It's just to avoid headache. Okay. Because, mankind are teachers. Mm-hmm. We are specifically talking about the fact that because of the role that God has for man, men go out into the world and are much more in positions where they are being taught and teaching even outside of the family, no matter who you are. You don't have to be a coach, you don't have to be a teacher. If you are a man subject to authority and holding authority, then you will have relationships in which you are either the student or the teacher.
And to get us going in this conversation, we need to recognize, you're going to be a teacher, and it's a matter, are you going to be a good one or you're a bad one?
And that has to do with awareness, right? So the real point of this episode is embrace that. Know that you are a teacher. See it as a responsibility to be taken. So that, for example, if you're a little older and a younger man is you can tell that he's coming to you to learn things from you, then embrace that so that you can become a better and better teacher, a better mentor, a better discipler.
And if you shirk this off, if you throw it off, this idea that you are a teacher and that you are leading, being up in front, you're going to miss the good things that God would have you go out and do. I was having a good conversation with a good friend about this very idea that if you think lowly of yourself, if you don't think you have influence or are going to lead, you're just missing a plain fact of reality. So just take that on.
Exactly. I mean, that's one more problem with worm theology, right? Hey, we're all Calvinists here, and we understand that we have no good thing that saved us, but God is doing a good thing in us and preparing us for good works. Yeah. So it's okay to think you're fabulous.
Joffrey loves fabulicity.
I do love that word, yes.
So where we begin this conversation is back to this awareness idea. In our life, we're going to be constantly coming in these relationships, in and out, many different layers and levels in which we are going to be teaching or be taught to. Mm-hmm. And it's a matter of knowing which one you are and always having that turned on so that you can be the best at giving or receiving.
Right, because sometimes it's just a moment, and sometimes it's a relationship, right? But the phrase "teaching moments" is actually out there, right, in the zeitgeist. But it's because teaching moments occur, right, and they often occur sort of independent of the relationship, the status or the relationship that the people may have. It may have to do just with a skill. Yeah. Right. Or your teenage daughter is cluing you into something that you've been clueless about. Those moments happen, but particularly when it turns into a relationship, that's when a man needs to be prepared to assume the weight of that and the responsibility of that, and gladly, right? Because one of the options all people have, and that I admit to often taking this option, is to just opt out of the relationships and of those obligations, right? Like, I could be a blessing to this person, or that person could bless me, but it's too much work.
You'd rather get the bless and go. Come on,
maybe not even get the bless.
Run.
If getting the blessing means I can't just go off and do my own thing, no thanks. Well, but I know that's bad. Don't do that.
You know what's bad? I just gave you a really good remix, and
it wasn't so good.
I think it was quite good. Now, you've talked recently about...
I like how you worked in the final word. I think it was quite good.
Now
Moving
let's talk
on.
about this. You've talked recently about how we've been institutionalized, and that kind of creeps in every area of the life. In every area of life, it's so too with this idea of teaching.
Yes.
We only think we can jump into the teacher-student moment if we've spent money on a class or are in some
Certified
sort of,
in some way.
That's right. That's when you actually go and learn. And there's something really poor about that, because we think if we need to actually go and learn something or go and teach something, we have to get official. We have to get the stamp. And so much of what we could do is being hindered by this mindset that it must be official in order for it to be legitimate.
Well, that can even enter into an area like Christian discipleship, right? No one thinks you need to be certified to disciple people, but that still creeps in. My pastor will do this, or I'm not going to do this because I'm not a pastor.
Yeah,
right.
There's so many podcasts and YouTube videos and blogs and articles this Christian can read.
But you're a Christian man. Like, just take up the mantle.
Yeah.
If you're 40 years old, there's some 30-year-old who has something to learn from you. If you're 30 years old, there's some 20-year-old who has something to learn from you. Stop being a jerk.
Yeah, and now that we have this awareness, okay, so you're always every man is a teacher, and you've got the students being a student worked in there, depending on the relationship. We need to talk about how you need to approach the teaching well. So I like to find good, simple analogies as much as
By the way, can I work in, like, before you start on this, which is going to be gold, y'all, we should mention to the audience that we're both, by vocation, teachers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we're both teachers.
Yes. So is this like bias alert or what?
Well, no. I feel that you're actually about to give some teaching advice.
Oh, yes.
And so, we're not just, it's not,
you can trust us.
I'm not doing the opposite of saying
we're
certified.
You can trust us.
I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is we have thought a lot about teaching.
It's what we do.
Yeah. So there you go.
We're kind of experts.
Go on, sir.
So
we have the paper to prove it.
We have a paper.
Man.
I might have 2 papers. So when teaching is often like farming. So my wife has a garden bed where she's growing edibles like vegetables, and we also have a flower bed, and I have grass. Now all of these crops differ, and the crops are like students, and the gardener, the farmer, is like the teacher. Now when you go to plant grass seed, it needs to be watered constantly and in little amounts. You've got to keep it damp. If I go and flood it, I'll kill the seed. Now inversely, when the grass is mature, it needs a focused amount of water infrequently. So I'm watering once a week and watering deeply. Whereas when I've got little grass seed, it's twice a day.
It's a little sprinkle dankle.
It's a little sprinkle dankle.
Which might be why God made it so that springtime comes with, just showers, and then summer comes with downpours in most of the world.
I don't know. There's something to that. But it also goes, so that's grass seed, and with that crop, you see, depending on its maturity, you approach it different with something that it needs. They all need water, but they need it in different ways. Or take a cactus or a banana plant, right? They need different amounts of sun, water.
What you know about banana plants?
Let me just tell you the story. I'm glad you asked. This isn't free.
Please be real. I have no idea that he has a banana tree story.
Okay, today I've had I'm a teacher, if you didn't know. I teach music lessons. Contact me. I've had the weirdest week teaching. Something weird happened in one of my Thursday lessons. I can't even remember, but it was just one of those moments I was like, this never happens. This doesn't happen to teachers often. Today, I'm in a lesson with a student where, I often talk about life with my students, what's going on, what's new, okay. And then, all right, let's get going and, go to the piano, let's get going on your piece. And he says, yes, you'll have to excuse my plant. What does that mean?
Okay.
And he says, yes, my plant, his name is Banana.
What kind of plant is it?
It's a banana plant. But here's the thing.
His name is Banana.
And he lives in the north, so he's in freezing country. We're in the later part of May.
Yep.
It's in freezing. They're having a freeze alert where he lives, and he has a banana plant, and it's inside, and it's next to the piano.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it probably really is a boy. The sex of banana plants is very obvious to people who know.
And I was just so taken back. Excuse my plant. His name is Banana. Okay.
Okay, so now here's the challenge.
No, here's the challenge. Go ahead. What's the challenge?
Well, I just want you to turn this into a lesson for us.
Oh, turn this into a lesson. Oh, I see. Yes. Well, the lesson is you have to know your crop. And now, and I know this crop very well. Great student, and you just gotta let students be students sometimes. You gotta let them be weird.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You gotta let them practice next to a banana plant.
So that's actually
like they're trying to play to the health. There's like all this therapy you can do with dogs and humans.
Okay.
Music
See,
therapy.
I knew you were about to go off the rails. Let me bring this back in. Banana plants.
People are interested in banana plant therapy.
So one of the problems with thinking of teaching as some sort of certified skill. The Scripture is very clear about it. Teaching is a gift of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And what's more, and I think this is something we're going to have time to unpack, there are gifts within teaching.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
But so when we start thinking of teaching as being something that is simply a matter of training and certification, but that's a necessary part to it, then what we end up doing is feeding more and more into this factory model, not only of education, but of teaching anybody, right? And we lose the relationship, which is what teaching really ought to be, right? It ought to be relationship-based. And it's hard. Even the very, very best schools, if you have 30 students, that's really, lectures are happening, right? And of course, gifted teachers can do a whole lot more with those. But really, where teaching happens in any arena, including education, is in the relationships where you have the kids who have plants named Banana.
And you have to, as a teacher, you have to seek and seek to win the affection and love of your students, not in some manipulative or crafty way, but take interest and care for them in such a way that they really like you, not because you're an excellent teacher. They're gonna like that, but they like you really
the
care
effect.
for it. They like being around. They like going to your class. They like taking lessons with you. The opportunity to meet you or hang out with you, just kind of like. It's like excited when they want to share what's going on.
And sometimes people
life.
aren't gonna love you and what you're teaching, but that is actually going to tell you a lot about whether that relationship is suitable in the first place.
Exactly.
Right. And there's the temptation that in when you have a teaching relationship. So let's take this, all of us, the listeners as well. Let's take this outside of just being a music teacher or a language teacher and having a class. Into any teaching relationship. If your focus is on being likable, you are going to end up being a bad teacher.
Yeah.
But if your focus is on doing a very good job with the student and loving the student, any righteous response from the student will be to like and love you.
That's right.
Right.
And that's the very fine line as you make that caveat. You've got to sort of seek to have their heart, and you have to seek to be a good teacher, but then you've got the pitfalls like where that won't happen, or even if you're trying to be too clever, all of that what you seek to be good at in a teacher has to be for the sake of helping them and letting them enjoy what it is they're learning, because learning is challenging, and that's part of knowing your plant's frame, knowing the crop, being the good farmer who knows when it's time to sow, know how to take care of it. Because some students, they need you to be sort of patient with their resistance or their baggage.
We have to pay attention to our lives, right? We have to remember, how did I learn this? Right. And how did it affect me? Right? And be aware of the same processes that are happening in your student's mind. But I think if we combine this idea that we've been talking about with the idea of excellence, I think that's going to carry us into talking about other gifts that contribute to teaching. So let's talk about excellence. Because, So, we're talking to men and we're telling men, listen, you're out in the world, you're at work, you're at church.
You're a farmer, you're a husband,
you're doing all
you're
these
a janitor.
things. Yep. And then you have all these relationships where you are being taught or you're being a teacher. And it's not that you learn one random thing. So you have a relationship where you are being taught and another relationship where you are the teacher. What you're looking for is excellence. You want to be more excellent, so you're willing to sit at someone's feet. You are willing to drive someone else to excellence, and they want that, right? So you have that relationship. And so, the drive that feeds this relationship and makes you want to understand the student's heart, understand the student's mind, is that you want them to excel, right? You want them to be more fabulous,
That's right.
to use that word again, and to be more for the kingdom of God. And then that's where I think where we transfer into talking about gifts, because I was telling you before the show started, and now I share with the audience. You become aware as you get older and you're engaged and active in these things that you're better at certain things than some teachers and not as good at others. I've coached a lot over the years, mostly basketball, but some rugby, and I see this, and it's helped that I have multiple arenas where I have some sort of teacher thing going, because I can see certain phenomena crop up, regardless of what it is that's being taught. One of them, for example, is that I'm not a particularly good motivator. I mean, I can get it done.
You've got the energy and you've got the excitement,
right?
But that's not your MO.
No, exactly. Because as it turns out, if I can give a little push, but if the student doesn't respond, I don't have the gift of taking them by the hand.
Yeah, or the interest.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm being honest with myself. But what I am good at is taking someone who is motivated and helping them excel.
Right.
Right. And so I should know that, and I should also see the value of people who have that patience to take someone by the hand, despite their sinful attitude or their fear or whatever it is. Or their history that they may have, whatever it is, and that person will carefully and gently walk them through that field and get them to the other side. Some people are very good at that. What are you like, right? When if you are a waiter of 3 years, which in any restaurant's a long time, what do you do? What can you do for the new waiters, right? And what kind of relationship do the new waiters have with you? Are they inspired by you? Do they want to imitate you? Are they afraid of you? Do they avoid you? Do they scorn you? Right? What
are your gifts? I have the gift of
being scorned. But I mean, it all starts with very basic. No one's going to want to learn from someone who's not good at their job, right? But given that you're good at your job, what are you offering?
Yeah.
And how are you getting it done?
And I'm curious because I think there's a lot of connection in the gifts we have to the experiences that God places in us to help cultivate certain things within us. So when you were younger and in more of a student role, did you find that you were the motivated one who was ready to meet the awesome teacher who would provide the energy and give you that mutual interest and make you awesome?
That's a poignant question for me, sir, because motivation has always been a bit of a difficult thing for me. Not to be motivated, but so a sin that I struggle with is caring about what other people want me to do.
Okay, so like expectations, which seems like, so if someone says, Joffrey, you should do such and such, you don't care. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, too much sometimes, right? Yeah. I mean, it may sound, because we're Americans, this may sound like a virtue, but I'm not putting it out there as a virtue, right? It is good not to be, slavish or craven.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
And some people fake not giving a rip.
Right.
But
you genuinely...
and I don't want to explain, why and how I know this, but there's too much of me just not caring.
Yeah.
And so but the good side of that is When I want to do something, or even if it's do something crazy that no one else thinks should be done, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're all in.
Yeah. But that means that I'm particularly good at connecting to students who will work independently, who have an idea of what they want to do,
right,
and they're just lacking some pieces. Right, I'm particularly good at that because of both the sins and the virtues of my personality.
Yeah, because they don't need you to tell them what to do necessarily. You just need to come alongside them and help them be great. Well, and the reason I ask that, because I think one of my virtues as a teacher is helping the one who is confused and struggling. Mm-hmm. I often promote that my biggest gift or skill is not knowing much of anything, because it's allowed me to cultivate the skills in order to learn a broad amount of things, and in a high level of abstraction. I can wrap my head around those things fairly quickly and simply, with less with wider skips in between the teachings. I can connect the dots well, partly because I had to do that often, and that's always been my thing. Like the student who has struggled to try to understand something, but then there came a turning point where I realized how to not strengthen what was lacking. And then it became a strength of mine.
Yeah, exactly.
To deal with. So if you're confused, if you're not coming, I'm going to be the type of teacher who will immediately have patience and interest in bringing you to understanding. So if you feel especially, and that applies to a student who feels discouraged as well. And so I get excited and passion strengthen when that's happening. If someone's like, I can't do it, or whatever.
Every teacher should be patient. And it's funny. Kimberly has commented often, and my wife has commented often at how extremely patient I am about certain things, but not others. But the things that I teach, I'm extremely patient about, like unendingly patient. And for her, there's a contrast because of what my personality is like. But patience and sympathy, and I think that this is where
empathy.
No, easy boy. Easy. But sympathy is a key aspect, and sympathy, men ought to develop sympathy in themselves, because what you're talking about, you had some experiences where you struggled as a student in formal settings. So when a student struggles, you immediately can you not only sympathize, but that takes you into, well, what are the technical issues at play here? The thing that I am best at teaching. So basically what I'm trying to say is God puts you in places and gives you certain gifts, and those are what you need to use. Yeah. So for example, I'm a languages teacher. I've never had to learn a language from scratch, ever. Right? So I say I've never had. I speak 3 languages. I can dabble in a couple more. But none of them from scratch. I grew up
in those 3 languages.
Kind of, exactly. I grew up bilingual, and then adding Spanish was very natural. And so I've never actually had to learn a language from scratch, so I lack that experience. But, after years of teaching English to foreigners, and with my perspective, so I have the perspective of being someone who is in fact a polyglot.
Such a good word.
I don't have the experience that my students have of suffering through the process. Yeah. But I have the perspective of understanding the logic of different languages as a native. So I can bring that. I can see what their brains are doing.
Yeah, that's right.
And so God has given me that particular gift, but not another. God's given you a particular gift and not another. Exactly. The important thing, and we're going to continue to grow in this as we get older and teach more, but the important thing is that we're aware of it and want to use it to bless people.
And when you realize what your gifts are, you can lean into them more, but you can also then become aware and be content that the gifts differ within teaching. I think people often cast the gift of teaching as a singular thing. And what we've been talking about is that it's but then it also splinters and grows into different systems from there. And so you can be content that, yes, you are a teacher, informally, and maybe you are one formally too, but how you teach it can be different. And if it's different, and especially if it's not one of the more excitable gifts, those tend to, the ones
Or
that...
exciting gifts. Sorry, I could not help myself.
Yes. If it's one of those, that's typically going to draw more attention to it, and it's going to look more glamorous and like the more important one.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean the kind of gift you have.
And kind of working off of that, because people often, they take the gifts of the Holy Spirit and, like some seem more glamorous than others. And, so recognizing that teaching is, in fact, a gift of the Holy Spirit may lead one to say, to do what one often does. Well, I don't have that gift.
Yeah,
I don't have the gift of tongues.
I don't have the gift of
I don't have the gift
evangelism.
of teaching. But nearly all of you are parents.
Yeah.
So you're not going to teach? Really?
Yeah.
Of course you're going to teach. You're going to teach the kids how to fish. You're going to teach the kids how to mend.
How to
you're
love.
Going to teach how to love, baby.
How to respect. How to kiss your wife.
All that stuff. Exactly. And being an oblivious role model is better than nothing. But how about being a self-aware model?
Yeah.
And actually like teaching. Smooch my wife on the staircase is a teaching moment for the kids. And I'm aware of it, and I'm doing a better job at it because of it.
Oh my goodness.
No, this is gold, dude.
So, with all that, like what you need to go and do is take up that awareness, and getting better as a teacher often starts with self-awareness. Who are you? What do you like? What are you good at? What opportunities are before you? And the more you unpack and get better at living in your moment, in your context, with all of the ways you've been equipped, that's going to naturally intensify and maximize your teaching abilities.
This is almost certainly how you build up the kingdom of Christ.
Most certainly. So, thank you guys so much for joining us here in the Spud Pub on the couch with Joffrey Schroy.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, I do like that. Yes.
Straight.
Hey, keep your trowel in hand.
And keep your gun rather loose in the holster.
That was, why don't you try take two?
Did you like that?
That was terrible. Keep your gun rather loose in the holster.
It was kind of like an Adam Sandler.
Let me tell you something. You are manly. You don't have to try to sound manly.
Does that sound manly?
It sounded like someone trying to sound manly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Keep
your gun rather loose in the holster.
Oh, that was so good. Goodbye, everybody. That was a teaching moment.